Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio and podcast. I'm your host, Life Coach Myrna Young, and you are listening to 5 Minutes with Coach Myrna. Today, I want to teach on the topic, you were born for this. A lot of times we become overwhelmed with challenges we face in our lives. We can do one of two things when these challenges show up. We can either fold up like a flower at night, or we can stand up, push our chest out and say, bring it on. I was born for this. This is exactly what happened to Queen Esther in the Bible story. This is her story and why she was born for this. King Herodes threw a banquet, and for 6 months, he celebrated with wine and food. He invited all the nobles from 127 provinces that he ruled over to attend this banquet. In his drunken state, he sent for his wife and demanded that she appear before him in her robe and crown. He wanted to parade her around and show off her beauty to his subjects. She refused. That sent the king in a rage. He asked his advisors, "What should I do about her?" They suggested that he banish her forever from his presence, because if he didn't, all the women in the kingdom would follow her and start to disrespect their man. The king agreed and banished the queen, but now he needed a queen. So they searched the country and picked the most beautiful virgins and brought them to the palace to be in the king's harem. I have to pause here because this next part intrigues me. These women were prepared for 1 year before they were allowed to sleep with the king. In this year, their skins were rubbed with the oil of myrrh for 6 months. And then the next 6 months, their body was perfumed. Then after a year, they would be sent to the king's bed and would not get a chance to go there again unless he was pleased with their performance and requested them by name. Wow. Hey, you ladies, you must be so pleased that you don't have to go through all that to sleep with a man. So in those days, the women in the king's harem had to be not only beautiful, smell like a fragrant garden, and they also had to have skills. Wow. I don't have the appropriate comment for that yet, but hopefully it doesn't come around to that again. All right, so moving along with the story, Esther had what the king wanted, because not only did she please him, and he called her and sent for her by name several times, but he decided to make her his queen. Now, Esther was a Jew, and she never told anyone. Her family was part of the Jews who were displaced when King Nebuchadnezzar banished the Jews from their homeland. So when her uncle Mordecai heard that Haman was planning to destroy the Jews on March the 7th the following year, he asked Queen Esther to go before the king and ask for mercy. Now, the king had a rule that anyone who appeared before him in his inner court without being invited was doomed to die unless the king held out his golden scepter, right, and welcomed them. Now, the king at this point in the story had not sent for Esther in 30 days. So she wasn't expecting him to be calling on her anytime soon. So she told Mordecai that if she was to go to the king without being invited, then he could kill her. So Mordecai told her that maybe you were born for this, right? And if you don't go to the king and beg for mercy, then all the Jews are going to die anyway. So, so you better do it now or later. So Queen Esther pulled up her courage and decided that she was born for this. She is going to accept the challenge and she was going to appear before the king uninvited and hope that he doesn't kill her. But ladies, when a man loves a woman, she can do no wrong. When Queen Esther appeared before the king in his inner court without being invited, he smiled and welcomed her and held out his scepter and then asked, "What do you want, Queen Esther? What is your request? I will give it to you, even if it's half my kingdom." Wow. All right, well, you ladies, listening out there, you wish that you would have that kind of response from your man, right? So that's the story of how Queen Esther was responsible for saving her people, the Jews. Her enemy, Haman, was killed by the same trap he laid for Mordecai, her uncle. And all his sons and family was killed as well. So there's two lessons I want you to take away from this story. The first one is that you were born with a purpose, and you don't know what it is until you know. You must find the courage to do it afraid. Whenever you are faced with a situation, do it afraid, right? Whenever life events or circumstances that are trying to kill you, just remember, you were born for this. Everything that you have done in your life up until this point has been training for this moment. Esther was born with great beauty, but she trained in how to please a man and how to ask for things from a man. She threw the king 2 banquets before she asked for her request, because she knew that she had to butter him up and get him in the right mood and in the right frame of mind. Even though he asked her as soon as she walked in, "What is your request?" He kept asking and asking, and she just kept throwing in banquets. And then finally, she asked for her request, and he was granted. But how did she ask for her request? It's important to note this. She started off by saying, "If I have found favor with you, my king, if it pleases you, my king, to grant my request and do what I ask." That's how she started off. Now, when you start off like that, when you humble yourself, right, and make your man know that it is up to him, that if it pleases him, and if you have found favor with him, right, to grant your request, don't go boldly demanding stuff. You just learn how to ask, right? We have to learn the rules of engagement. We have to learn the rules of negotiation and learn how to ask your husband, how to ask your boss, how to ask for what you want, right? The second lesson that I want to take away from this, and it's a lesson that I am learning myself, because I have found that not everybody is your friend, and that you do have enemies, seen and unseen. And it's important to note that Satan and all his people go about seeking who to kill and destroy. And you don't have to do them anything, right? They just for them to come after you. They can plot to destroy you because you refuse to bow down to them and placate their ego. That's all Mordecai did. He refused to bow down to Haman. And he decided that he was not only going to kill Mordecai, but he's going to just get rid of all the Jews at the same time, right? He didn't have to do them anything. But all you have to do is to keep on praying to God, and he will take care of your enemies. Sometimes using the same weapons they formed against you to destroy them. Haman was killed with the same pole that he planned to impale Mordecai on. So the Jews were victorious against their enemies, and so will you, because you were born for this. So put that in your psyche. Put that in your spirit, right? Anytime you come up against challenges, know that you were born for this. Remember Queen Esther's story and take strength from that story. Okay. All right. Well, this is Coach Myrna, and you have been listening to 5 Minutes with Coach Myrna. I hope you were inspired today. And until next time, namaste.